Man, this has been on my chest for the last several days. And this evening, I'll be the first to tell you it's time to get it all out there. My YouTube audience, this is Shukri Writes, and this is going to be called Hypocrites Unveiled. Why? Because I feel like the Hall of Fame voters, by and large part, are hypocritical of the Hall of Fame voting process, especially when it comes to steroid users. See, baseball has this self-righteous indignation that it's failing to completely let go of. And for the life of me, I don't understand why they feel the need to try to wipe away a big wrong by trying to keep out those who indulge in that very wrong that they benefited from. Yet somehow, some way, they felt like, well, if they partook in this wrong, it is our job to be the gatekeeper. We're going to keep those folks out. They don't deserve to be in. But somehow, some way, if we liked you, we'll get you in. Case in point, David Ortiz. David Ortiz is a guy who hit 541 home runs in his major league career. He had 14 legendary seasons as a member of the Boston Red Sox. I'm sure no one in New England is ever going to forget that monstrous 2004 postseason in which he single-handedly helped lift the Red Sox over the Yankees when they were down 3-0 in the 2004 American League Championship Series. And all of the indelible moments that he's had in his career, including uplifting the city of Boston in the aftermath of the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing. May the memory of the victims forever live on, and may they rest in peace. However, with that being said, the problem that I have is this. David Ortiz was inducted into the Hall of Fame despite having appeared on a 2003 report that he had tested positive for PEDs, that I must also add, it wasn't illegal at that time. However, you bring up the names of Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. Oh no, they can't get in. Why? Why do you think that is? Why do you think that specifically that the Baseball Writers of America, the Hall of Fame voters, said, we're not going to let those two into the Hall of Fame? Despite the fact that Barry Bonds is the all-time home run king, that's one. He's won the most league MVPs in Major League Baseball history. That's two. And that prior to 1999, when he was accused of using steroids, he was already a Hall of Famer. He was already a three-time league MVP. Roger Clemens, the same can be said about him. 7-time Cy Young Award winner, most of Major League history. His strikeout totals, top 5 all time. And don't get me started about his Hall of Fame credentials. Prior to 1999, this guy was already a multi-Cy Young Award winner. He already had Hall of Fame stats. But if you want to separate the stats from when he allegedly, and I'm using air quotes as allegedly, used PEDs and so forth, that's up to you, the individual. But the truth is that when you talk about someone who, if you asked at the general consensus as to, was this guy dominant at what he did? The answer was yes, a resounding yes. Then why aren't they in the Hall of Fame? Don't give me the excuse of, well, they use PEDs. Did they? In Barry Bonds' case particularly, did he? Or are we going based on the fact that he never tested positive for a PED? He never failed a drug test. Let's be honest with ourselves. Is this really more of a witch hunt against Bonds and Clemens, being that those two are the face of the steroid era in Major League Baseball? Or is it the fact that Major League Baseball knows, the Hall of Fame knows, they already have PED users in the Hall of Fame. They just don't want those two, but those two individuals, Bonds and Clemens, being the face of the steroid era being in the Hall of Fame. Is that what this really is about? Because if it is, that's what it's really about, then baseball needs to really answer some very serious questions. Because if your rage is with people who use PEDs, in which during a time in the 90s, you needed those PED users to bring fans back to the seats in major league ballparks across America, yet you have no problem having bigots, racists, people who use amphetamines and so forth in the Hall of Fame, you are a hypocrite. The Hall of Fame is absolutely hypocritical. Let's call a spade a spade. We have no problem having well-known bigots in the Hall of Fame. It's about character and a character clause. Is it really? Really? Because the last time I checked, I think every baseball fan who's knowledgeable and who knows who's in the Hall of Fame knows there were well-known racists in there. Guys who probably did some god-awful things off the field, but they were still elected into the Hall of Fame anyway. Yet steroids and PEDs, something that the sport itself benefited from. I mean, go look at Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, the 1998 home run chase. Don't tell me for 1 minute that the sport did not benefit from those two guys, that the sport did not benefit from the fact that millions were turning into ESPN or Fox to watch the home run chase. Special mention to NBC, who also had television rights to Major League Baseball in the postseason in the 90s. But it baffles me that here we are in 2022, we're still having this conversation about, well, is Bonds a Hall of Famer? Is Clemens a Hall of Famer? The answer is yes. So why do the baseball writers continue to insist on being the purity gatekeepers that they feel that they are? I guess because they feel they hold the power of the vote. Who gets in, who does not get in? Is that what it is? Because if this is a power poll, a lot of you, including Dan Shaughnessy, absolutely need to lose their right to vote. Because we've seen time and time again how power changes men. When they feel they have a power over someone else, it changes people. And I just think that it's absolutely ridiculous that you go to Cooperstown with your loved one, your significant other, or even your kid, and you bring him to the Hall of Fame, yet Barry Bonds is not in the Hall of Fame. Why? He was accused of using PEDs, so the Hall of Fame writers decided to keep him out. Roger Clemens, he was accused. He was accused of using PEDs, so the writers decided to keep him out. Oh, what about Pete Rose? Well, he better on the game. Oh, okay. So the all-time home run king, all-time hit leader, and the pitcher who's won the most Cy Youngs in Major League Baseball history, all three of them were not in the Hall of Fame. Please make it make sense. I sincerely ask baseball, please make this make sense. Because as a baseball fan, I can't seem to understand, how does this make sense to the common baseball fan who wants to understand why those three men in particular are being kept out of Cooperstown? Hypocritical, I would say. The Hall of Fame voting process is absolutely hypocritical at its best. And I am truly sick and tired of having to have this conversation time and time again. And it's a damn shame that we are not going to have them on the Hall of Fame ballot any longer because their 10th year came and went and they weren't even inducted. What a travesty, Major League Baseball. On a day and during a time in which my love for the sport has begun to wane a little bit because of his ongoing lockout, you can now add the Hall of Fame voting process onto the long list of grudges that I do hold against Major League Baseball, including how Commissioner Robert Manfred handled the Houston Astros cheating scandal, which I am never going to let go. Never, ever. That is my thoughts. What's yours? Follow me on social media at Shukri Wrights, on Twitter at SHUKRIWRIGHTS. Follow me on Instagram at SWrightsRadio_. I'll spell it out for you. SWRIGHTSRADIO_. Follow me there. I'll talk to you later, and I'll see you there.